Hey everybody, it's Ms. Calkins, and today we're going to continue with our volume unit. So we're going today look at how to find the volume of cones. So just to review, yesterday we talked about how to find the volume of a cylinder. To find the volume of a cylinder, we use the formula volume equals pi times radius squared times height. So a cone, think about like an ice cream cone or a traffic cone, it is 1/3 the size of a cylinder. So if you have a cylinder that has a radius of 13, that's going to equal 3 cones with the exact same radius and the exact same height. Now I know mine are not drawn to scale, they're a little bit bigger and smaller, but it takes 3 cones to equal 1 cylinder. So what that means is our formula to find the volume of a cone, it's the same as the cylinder formula. So we've got that pi r squared h, we just put 1/3 in front of it. So to put 1/3 in your calculator, you can just put it in as 1 divided by 3. That's the easiest way to put that in the calculator. So we're going to do a couple of examples to work these out. This is going to be like the problems that you're going to see. One thing that you need to remember, just like with the cylinders, is you have to have the radius. So if you have a problem that has a diameter, like number 2, if you put 20 into that formula, it's going to give you something way too big. You've got to put 10 as the radius, and we'll get to this one in just a second. So I'm going to rewrite my formula. Since this is a cone, I'm going to have 1/3 pi r squared h. I'm going to drop all the numbers in where they're going to go. If you have a calculator that has a pi button, you can use the pi button. Otherwise, just use 3.14. So our volume for this one is going to be 1/3. I'm just going to go ahead and drop 3.14 in there because that's probably what most of you will use. 1/3 times 3.14 or pi. My radius is 5. Don't forget that we have to square that number. If you wanted to go ahead and put a 25 there instead, that's fine. Times your height, which is 12. So my suggestion to you is take the time to plug everything in. Make sure you have it all written out like it's supposed to be before you just start plugging it into the calculator. Once you're sure that it's right, you're going to do 1/3 times 3.14, or the pi button, times 5 squared times 12, and the volume of this cone would be 314.2, and again that's going to be centimeters cubed. When you were doing volume, your exponent is always going to be to the 3rd power because we did centimeters times centimeters times centimeters, so that's why it's centimeters cubed. So moving on to number 2, the first thing that you need to notice, and if you were taking the EOG or benchmark or whatever, this is a common way they try to trick you. They have the diameter instead of the radius. So the first thing that I need to make sure I know is that my radius is 10. This is what I have to use in my formula. I can't use 20 because that's the diameter. So again, take a second and just drop everything into the formula where it's going to go. 1/3 pi r squared h. So that's going to be 1/3 times 3.14. My radius is 10, so I'm going to do 10 squared, or if you wanted to be fancy and go ahead and put 100, that's fine, times 6. So take a second, make sure you have everything in there the way it needs to be, and then multiply that out. 1/3 times pi times 10 to the 2nd power times 6 is going to be 628.3, and that is inches to the 3rd power. Now, if you are working these out with me, just like I'm doing, your number may be a couple of decimal places off because when I work them out, I use the actual pi button, and that can affect your decimal just a little bit. That's okay, it's still the same value. Number 3, we do have a radius. Remember, the radius comes halfway across your circle. So you still have the base of a circle this time, just like you have in the cylinder, but you just have one of those. And my height makes a right angle with my radius. So that's kind of what this dotted line means. It's the height of the cone. So volume is 1/3 pi r squared h. So for this example, it's going to be 1/3 times pi. My radius is 2.5, so I'm going to do 2.5 squared, and my height is 12. So take a second, make sure you have all the numbers the way they need to be. So when you do 1/3 times 3.14 times 2.5 squared times 12, you should get a product of 78.5, and that is meters to the 3rd power. So this is pretty straightforward. There's no surprises. I think you have about 8 or 9 problems on your assignment that goes with this. So come into Zoom if you have any questions, and I'll be happy to help you. I'll see you guys later. I do miss you. Bye.